this government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability at every level.
Leaving Partygate and Boris Johnson's leadership behind was Rishi Sunak's pledge as he walked into number 10.
Trust is earned.
This week, a gambling scandal has once again embroiled the party in sleaze allegations. Just 11 days out from an election date insiders are alleged to have bet on.
I've got no reason to believe it's gone any further than what has been reported. But as I say, frustrating though this may be, the party have been given explicit instructions by the Gambling Commission that we should not be discussing this at all.
They may have thought it was an ace up their sleeve. It could prove anything but for these senior Tories. Craig Williams, candidate and close aide to the PM, admitted to a flutter on the election date earlier in June. He denies wrongdoing. Tory campaign manager Tony Lee and his wife, candidate Laura Saunders, are also under investigation by the Gambling Commission. She has vowed to cooperate. And today, the Sunday Times revealed that the Conservatives' data chief, Nick Mason, is also being probed, today denying wrongdoing. He and Tony Lee have taken leave of absence while the other two continue to campaign. Today, the Lib Dems joined Labour in calling on the PM to suspend the candidates.
I think for many people it will remind them of the Partygate times, where it was one rule for them and one rule for everybody else.
Another headache to contend with this morning, a secret recording from the BBC of a candidate and MP describing the Rwanda scheme as
crap. Okay? It's crap.
He went on to say,
but it's not about the policy, it's about the effect of the policy. Yes.
He told the BBC he was disappointed to have been recorded while being candid about the response to the policy. Labour were quick to capitalise, posting the first part of the recording, as they today were criticised by their largest donor, the union Unite.
And what we need the straitjacket off a little bit, get some wiggle room there. Borrowing to invest is not the same as other borrowing.
The union hasn't endorsed Labour's manifesto, which sticks to the Conservatives' fiscal rules.
Every time you have a go at Jeremy Hunt, you're having a go at Rachel Reeves.
No, our plan has got a clear sense around how we will drive the long-term growth and change that we need to see across our country.
The numbers are exactly the same.
But with some really important first steps that we would get to work on from day one, whether that's more teachers, more police officers cracking down on antisocial behaviour.
Don't gamble on Labour, the Conservatives said earlier this week in a swiftly withdrawn digital ad. Who could have predicted that bets allegedly made from inside the same campaign could have so derailed it with just a handful of days to go?
Amelia Jem. Well, a short while ago, I spoke to political strategist Jo Tanner. She was a former public relations advisor to Boris Johnson. I asked her that if she was advising Rishi Sunak, what would she tell him to do?
Well, I think, first of all, I would be lining up anyone that really would have had any contact with him or senior members of his team about when the election date was going to be. And I'd be asking a very direct question of whether or not any of them had any knowledge. And secondly, did they do anything with that knowledge, i.e. did they put on a bet? And surely, if you are therefore a paid up member of this campaign and you support what the Conservatives are trying to do, the most honourable thing you would do is answer that question truthfully. And then you would allow Rishi Sunak to say everybody that has been involved has been dealt with in some way, suspended or whatever. I mean, it's effectively insider trading. If this was in a financial institution, people would be suspended immediately. It's just bonkers. Nothing's happened.
Well, the police officer involved was suspended immediately. So what does it tell you that Rishi Sunak hasn't suspended those candidates and officials within the Conservative Party who've been implicated, although some do deny wrongdoing?
Well, I think that is the point in question, is that in most workplaces, if you are accused of something that is related to your work and it is considered that it wouldn't be acceptable for you to be continuing to work, you would be suspended. You know, after D-Day, he made an apology the next day and said, I got it wrong, right? He acted quickly. And while it didn't kill the story, it certainly contained it somewhat. I think a better explanation would have helped. But with this, it's just letting it rumble on. I don't see why he's doing that.
Well, Michael Gove, the Cabinet Minister, has likened this betting scandal to Partygate, and the suggestion is that it reinforces the idea for some voters that people within the Conservative government think there's a set of rules for them and a different set of rules for ordinary people. Do you buy that?
I think he has a point, and I think if you actually look at what some people are still angry about. They're still angry about Partygate. And I think it just reinforces the fact that it's part of a sort of extension of that administration. So I just don't know why you wouldn't try and draw a line somewhere.
So this apparent deficit of trust then, if that's what it is, did it start with your old boss, Boris Johnson?
I honestly don't know. I think there have been a succession of individuals within Number 10 who perhaps have lost sight of the fact that you are there to serve and that it is a particularly privileged position to work in Number 10 and to work around that team. And I don't really know where the rot is, if that's what it is. It's ultimately that it does seem to be that judgments have not been, I guess, as sort of smart as we would think they should be.
I mean, the other headlines that Rishi Sunak was waking up to this morning was that an aide to the Home Secretary had been recorded describing the flagship Rwanda policy as crap. How do you deal with that?
Not a great start. I think James Cleverly has been trying to put up an admirable defence. But again, it goes back to these questions. When people are asked questions, we've seen it with Keir Starmer being asked about, did you believe that Jeremy Corbyn would be a good Prime Minister? It's going back to these questions that become quite challenging to answer. But it's got to be better to really tackle this stuff head on, to put it to bed. You can say that the policy itself has been problematic. It's been very challenging. We've really struggled to get it through. Now if we're re-elected, we will then see if it can actually work and do what we think it can do. But the idea of sort of almost denying that people have said things they've said, it's very shaky and, potentially risky territory.
You've got the D-Day debacle, you've got the betting scandal, and then you've got a Tory aide, a government aide describing the flagship immigration policy as crap. Do you think, what do you think this actually says about the way the Conservative campaign is being run in this election?
It feels like there isn't really anyone properly in control. And we do know that as a result of the betting scandal, there is no longer a campaign director in post who was the campaign director. So it does make you wonder what is going on behind the scenes. I feel sorry for a lot of the people that are involved in working on the campaign. Lots of people up and down the country, activists as well as the candidates themselves, must be wondering what on earth is happening.
Jo Tanner, thank you so much for speaking with us. Appreciate it.